Roland Barthes' concept of mythologies. Mythologies is an especially fine example of work that uses the skill and analysis and creative thinking. It's a book written by Roland Barthes in 1957. It's a collection of essays taken from Les Lettres Nouvelles, it was a magazine, examining the tendency of contemporary social value systems to create modern myths. Barth also looks at the similology of the process of myth creation, updating Fernando de Saussure's system of sign and sign analysis by adding a second level where signs are elevated to the level of myth. Mythologies is split into two parts. Mythologies is the first part and myth today is the second. The first section consisting of a collection of essays on selected modern myths and the second further and a general analysis of the concept. The first section describes a selection of modern cultural phenomena chosen for their status as modern myths and for the added meaning that has been conferred upon them. Each short chapter analyzes one such myth, ranging from Einstein's brain to soap powders and detergents. They were originally written in a series of bi-monthly essays from a magazine, as I told you. It's called Les Lettres Nouvelles. Differing from Saussurean view that the connection between the signifier and the signified is arbitrary, Barth argued that this connection, which is an act of signification, is the result of collective contract and over a period of time, and it's a connection that is actually very naturalized. In mythologies, Barthes overtook an ideological critique of various products of mass bourgeois culture such as soap advertisement, images of Rome, in an attempt to discover the universal nature behind all this. Barthes considers myth as a mode of signification, a language that takes over reality. It's a language that we all connect to, and it is the society that actually makes up this language. The structure of myth repeats the tri-dimensional pattern in that myth is the second order signifying system with the sign of the first order signifying system as its signifier. I would like to draw your attention to the example that I have written. In general, Barthes wanted us to create a way in which people deepen their thought about the understanding of language, literature, and society. Barthes wanted to make a point that all signs we see today are made up by the society. The advantage of semiotics in culture lies in the differences between the groups. For example, red wine, French national drink. It is viewed as life-giving, refreshing, and it is very refreshing in cold weather. It is associated with all the myths that I have written of becoming warm, a height of summer, images of shade, all things cool and sparkling, and also a drink of lower social class. Why? Because it is blood red as a holy communion, and points out that very little attention is paid to red wine's harmful effects of health. Myth is a type of speech defined more by its intention than its literal sense. Myth also has a character of making itself look very neutral and innocent. It naturalizes the concept and transforms history into nature. It deforms and historicizes the original connection between the signifier and the signified. The function of myth is to empty the reality and to establish a world without depth and to naturalize history. Also, the bourgeois presents its own ideas and interests as those of the nation and as a universal rule that we all have to agree. Barth illustrates the working of myth with the image of a young Negro soldier saluting the French flag that appeared on the cover of the Parisian magazine, where that denotes that The French, the militarist, and we see that the second order that is signified, being that France is a great empire and all their sons, irrespective of color discrimination, faithfully serve under her man, and that all allegations of colonization are false. Thus, denotations serve the purpose of ideology and in naturalizing all forms of oppression into what people think as a common sense. By looking at the photo, what we think is that that boy being black in color also is paying homage to the flag. Hence, there is no oppression and all are treated same. But we all know it is completely wrong. The most significant aspect of Barth's account of myth is his evaluation of the process of myth making with the process of bourgeois ideologies. Hence, in law and myths can construct the presumptions upon which a judgment normative judgment was actually constructed. Thereby, the motivated myth presents an image distorted reality at the second level semiotics, which Umberto Eco noted it is actually a purpose of lying. Exploring the concept of myth, Barth seeks to grasp the relation between language and power. He assumes that myth helps to naturalize particular worldviews. And these worldviews are naturally of the ruling class worldviews, that is the bourgeois class. According to Barth, myth is based on humans, history, and myths cannot naturally occur. There are always some communicative intentions behind the myth, created by people, the ruling class. The myth can easily be changed and destroyed. Also, myth depends on the context where it exists. The place and the people actually become very important. By changing the context, one can change the effect of the myth. At the same time, myth itself participates in the creation of an ideology. According to Barth, myth does not seek to show or to hide the truth when creating an ideology. It seeks to deviate from the reality. Myth making actually distorts the reality, and we are left with no option but to follow it blindly. Myth purifies signs and fills them with a new meaning of their own, which is relevant to the communicative intention of those who are creating the myth. And who are these people who actually create these myths? The people with power. In the new sign, there are no contractions that could raise any doubts regarding the myth. The myth is not deep enough to have these contradictions. It simplifies the world by making people believe that signs have inherent meanings of their own. Myth actually abolishes the complexity of human acts. It gives them simplicity and essence, which Barth does not feel is actually required. This complexity of human nature is what makes us human. And by creating myths, what we do is do away with the most beautiful quality that humans have. We stick to one point, start believing in a particular myth, and never think about what is right and what is wrong. Constructing myth creates ideology, and this ideology creates the difference between people, rich, poor, black, white, and it gives a normative judgment, and this judgment is constructed till the end. Speaking of myth and power, Barth asserts that myth is a depoliticized speech. He uses the term ex-domination or ex-nomination, by which he means outside the naming. Barth's point was that dominant groups or ideas in a society become so obvious or common sense that they don't have to draw attention to themselves by giving themselves a name. They are just the normality for us now, against which everything else can be judged. For example, he says, the bourgeois makes its status undergo a real nominating operation. The bourgeois is defined as the social class which does not want to be named. Myth removes our understanding of concepts and beliefs as created by humans. Instead, myth presents them as something very natural and very innocent. Drawing upon Karl Marx, Barth states that even the most natural objects include some aspects of politics, depending on how strong political side of myth is. Barth defines the strong and weak myths. Depoliticization of the strong myth happens abruptly. As the strong myths are explicably political, the weak myths are the myths which have already lost their political character. However, this character can be brought back by the slightest thing that is done.